Alright, welcome back to Flight Sim 2024. Welcome back to the High Performance Group H145, and we are parked on the helipad here at the Mosgas refinery just outside of Mossel Bay in South Africa. And for the first time ever, I'm going to be flying to an oil rig in Flight Sim with the 145, and we need to pick up an injured person from the refinery, bring them back to the hospital in George. As you can see behind us, the weather isn't great, so that is going to pose a bit of a challenge. Hopefully the weather is okay once we get to the refinery itself, because if there's clouds and rain like that over the oil rig, that's going to make things very tough. But anyway, let's jump aboard. Everything is set up. So if we have a look here, we've got our route from here just outside Mossel Bay. So if I zoom in, we'll see there's Mossel Bay, and there's the Mossel Bay airport over there. We're going out to the oil rig and then into the hospital in George. We've got plenty of fuel on board. Let's pop the engines into flight. We don't need to waste any more time. Okay, wind is coming just off of our right hand side. So we'll turn into the wind, depart out in that direction, and then head out to the oil rig. We just need to wait for that rotor RPM to come up. Right, there we go. All looks clear. Let's get out of here. Gauges all look good. Just need to be careful of the trees here. Winds are shifting quite a bit as well, so landing on the oil rig is going to be interesting. I've never actually landed on an oil rig on the channel as we pass through the first bit of rain, so this will be a nice challenge. What I do want to do though is bring this brightness down so I can actually see what's going on here. Okay, it's still taking us to that helipad for some reason. Let's go. I just want to keep an eye on this altitude. Yeah, that's better. Let's go here. No, let's do this. Go to flight plan. Okay, 46 miles. So we're looking at about 25 minutes. So it's pretty far out. Okay, we are off the coast now and over the water. George looks like the weather is significantly worse in that direction. want to stay below these clouds, so we're not gonna be going much higher actually. Okay, 24 minutes out. We're cruising at 110 knots. We can probably bump that up a little. Let's level off here at 1,000. In for about 120 to 130 knots. Just keep an eye on the torque. We do want to try and go as quick as possible, because obviously the sooner we get him back, the better. Just see if we can get it onto that FMS course. We can probably just intercept that and use the autopilot. Course is slightly to our left. Just looking over. Got a nice headwind, though not too crazy, about 5 knots. That's brought our flight time down to 20 minutes. With 37 miles to go. Clouds are looking okay at the moment. Back towards George it looks pretty rough. We do have to land at the hospital helipad in George, so okay, let's go ahead and couple this guy. Okay, altitude hold at 1,000. Nav with the FMS as the source. Minutes out, 36 miles. Bumping up the speed a little. To about 120 knots now, still with a little bit of a headwind. It's picked up, so we're looking at about 15 knots now. 10 to 15. see, if the wind stays like this, we'll basically be able to approach straight in. So we'll just keep an eye on that wind direction. It looks like it might be shifting slightly, so we might have to fly just a little to the right of the oil rig and come in that way. It also depends on the rig itself and how the helipad and all the equipment is situated, because I don't think you can approach it from any side. There's probably, well, there's normally smokestacks or cranes or things like that that can get in the way, which will force you to come from a specific direction. Sun just rising over there in the east. Okay, about 15 minutes out. Looking good at 130 knots. Minutes, ground speed 121. So we're about halfway now. 12 minutes to go. ground speed 120, level at 1000, all looks good. I've just gone 8 in the morning. I don't know if that's because it says UTC +2, which is correct for South Africa. I don't know if that is showing us UTC +2. It can't be 10 o'clock. The sun is too low for 10, so it must be 8 in the morning. Looks like it's clearing out here over the ocean. Still got the cloud layer, but it's significantly above us and not gonna pose any challenges. Just hope it stays this way out towards the oil rig. Okay, 10 minutes to go. Keeping it right on the edge of our torque limit there, but we do want to try and go nice and fast. Wind's looking like about 15 knots, so we're probably looking at 12, 13 on the nose. So we'll see, going back we should have a bit of a tailwind. Eight minutes out now. not too far now, 11 miles. And just over 5 minutes, or just over 6 minutes. We should hopefully be able to see it soon. Under 10 miles now. Wind is basically straight in front of us. There it is up ahead. Okay, 5.5 miles out. Okay, the wind is ever so slightly from our left. Let's decouple this. Ditch our altitude hold as well. Go down to about 500 feet and we'll get a good look at which side we can approach from. It looks like there's a crane on this side. Level at 600 now. bring the speed down. Just keep trimming the nose up as we bring the collective back so that we maintain around 550 to 600 feet and start bleeding off the speed gently. Yeah, that looks like the helipad on the opposite end. So I think we can actually start descending as well. See the big green patch on the other side. So the crane, oh, that's like a smokestack is on this side. There's two cranes and one big pylon on the left. So we need to be aware of those. Okay, we're not going to be able to approach directly into the wind. I'm actually just gonna orbit around. Yeah, we're gonna have to come from this side, so not quite into the wind. Let's give this a try. Oh, I'm too fast. Wind is from our right hand side. Yeah, that looks good, I think. 10 feet off. Overcompensating for the wind a little bit. That moving ocean is very off-putting. Not quite in the middle. I need to go left a bit. Okay, that should work. Okay, 3 feet. 2. Oh, that leaning over was a little strange. Yeah, we'll go to idle. See, I'm not perfectly in the middle. Okay, I'm actually quite far forward and to the one side. Okay, let's go doors. Do this one, I guess. Is that the back? Yes. Right, then if we go aircraft, can we get our patient? There we go. What that is for. Anyway, let's go back here to doors and say close all. Right, then I think we can set off. So let's go back to flight. Okay, wind from the right hand side still. Okay, just waiting for the rotor RPM to come up. Right, that's extinguished. We've got nothing over here. That all looks good. Everything's in the green. Okay, let's see if we can do this a little bit better than our landing. Oh, that wind is definitely a thing. Okay, let's head back to George. Look at the clouds in front of us. I'm feeling that we're gonna have some issues in George with the weather. Yeah, look at that in front of us. Let's see, we're gonna keep turning to the left here. Yeah, it doesn't look great. Let's go back to 1,000 feet. If we can't get into the hospital, I think we just divert to the airport. There's an ILS which we can use. I think that's the best bet. We should pick up a pretty nice ground speed here because we have the tailwind. So we're already 131. Very nice. So George is a little further than Mossel Bay, 27 minutes. Yeah, there's 800 feet. Feet. altitude holds. There we go, up to 146 ground speed. And just keeping an eye on our FMS course, and we can couple that once we get to the intercept. And then we're going to cruise along for just over 20 minutes. That landing on the rig was a lot tougher than I thought it would be. And even with all the assists that the H145 gives you, not an easy thing to do. Okay, let's couple this guy. Okay, alt nav FMS 1000 feet. We can trim the nose down a little. Ground speed 139. miles, 22 minutes. A tailwind makes a big difference because we were only 46 miles when we took off from Mossel Bay, and that said 25 minutes. We're now 50 miles, 21 minutes because of that tailwind. Ground speed 144. Looks like we might have some issues with the weather. I can see the coast already. Okay, we are just under 5 minutes out. We're about to make a landfall here, and as you can see, the weather is not great. I'm hoping we can just sneak in under these clouds at 1,000 feet, but off to the right hand side and stuff there is quite a bit of rain, and it looks pretty dense on that side as well. Out towards Mossel Bay also looks pretty rainy, so we will have to keep an eye on this and see how it goes. Okay, still plenty of fuel, so if we need to go to George, absolutely no issues. George is just over there. Can't quite see the airport, but you can see it over here. Now it looks like we're alright, but I think we're going to hit the clouds shortly. It's this ever so slightest gap here that we can stay in at 1,000 feet. We're only 800 above the ground, and the further in we go, the terrain is going to keep rising. So I can't really go much lower. And if we climb, I reckon we'll be in the clouds. Not too far though, only 3 miles, 3.6. Okay, 700 radio. Starting to get a little hazy. Yeah, we can start bringing the speed down a bit. Hospital is here somewhere. This building here is the hospital. Where's the helipad? Oh, okay, no, it's still further on. Right at the back here against the mountains, where all the clouds are gonna be. Okay, let's decouple this. There's the hospital straight in front of us. Okay, we can ditch the altitude hold. This is the hospital here. There's the helipad there. That is going to be extremely tight with those trees. Pretty sure in reality the trees aren't that close. The trees are so close I can't even see it now. Okay, there it is there. It's not exactly very flat here either. So we're just gonna have to be pretty gentle with it. Oh, this is not nice. Is there any chance that I can swing to the right? There's not much space there for the tail rotor. Okay, I think we're gonna ditch this idea. we're gonna go to George, to the airport, I mean. Was a little sketchy. It's a pity. It would have been nice if there was an actual 3D helipad there, and we probably would have been able to do it just fine. But there isn't. Not the end of the world. We'll just quickly divert to George here. Don't need to do an instrument approach, I don't think. Looks all right. Yeah, we just need to look for the taxiway and follow the taxiway out to the helipad at the end of the apron. Here's the airport just to our right. I'm not sure George has trees in between the runway and the taxiway, if I'm being totally honest. In fact, it doesn't. I think this is the default scenery. The scenery I have for George hasn't come over to Flight Sim 24, I don't think. We'll see now. This looks default though. Yeah, this is the default scenery. Okay, that should do. Oops. Okay, there we are at George Airport instead of the hospital, but that's okay. Let's get that shut down and we can get the patient out so long while we finish switching things off. Alright, welcome to a nice cloudy... It is raining, just... Is it raining here? It sounds like it. Or at least it's raining very close. If we look at the windshield... No, it doesn't seem to be raining here, but it's raining just out there. Okay, so... As it turns out, landing on the oil rig is not particularly easy. Let's go and turn these off. That's off, that's off. Battery. Which was kind of expected. It's not an easy thing to do. And so yeah, my landing wasn't particularly great. George Hospital has massive trees on the helipad, which isn't particularly realistic. And George Airport has trees in between the runway and taxiway. There might be some like bushes. I even doubt that, but there's no way there's a whole forest like that. But anyway, that is going to bring us to the end of today's video. As always, if you made it right to this point, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, you know what to do down below, and hopefully I see you in the next one.